Hello everybody, welcome back to Screen Stars and welcome to another PlayStation 4 review. Today's review is for Shenmue 3. Now this is a game that I've had for a decent amount of time. I didn't get it when it was released because it was released late last year, and I decided to wait for around Christmas time. And I got it just after Christmas with some vouchers that I got. Downloaded it, played it for a little bit. And then other games took over, sort of thing. But I always intended to go back and try and get into this game because I did play. I never played the original Shenmue, but I played Shenmue 2 on the original Xbox, not Xbox 360, the original Xbox, because it was released on that, and I really enjoyed that game. Now I did buy the re-releases, if you like, and I nearly said remasters, but they weren't remasters, of Shenmue 1 and 2 on PlayStation 4 when they was released. I think it was last year, in preparation for Shenmue 3 coming out. And I have to say, I think nostalgia is a great thing sometimes, but when I tried to play those games, I mean, gaming has moved on so much. I really struggled to get into those games, especially the first one. The second one felt a little bit more familiar because I'd played it, but still, I struggled with them, I'm not going to lie. However, I did have every intention of trying this game because it is a continuation of the first two games. And for those of you who are worried if you don't understand what is going on, there is like a recap movie in the main menu. When you put this game on, it gives you like a recap movie that gives you the story of what's happened in Shenmue 1 and Shenmue 2, so you can get all caught up in regards to what has been going on with the story. So don't worry too much if you've not played the other two games. You don't need to have played them. And this game is a continuation of Ryo's story from the first two games, who is trying to hunt down the killer of his father, and he's not been doing a really good job of it, really. So it's a continuation of that story, and he ends up in a small village trying to track down again the killer by investigating, learning from the locals, learning more about his father, who the killer was, etc, etc, all in the hope of leading him directly to his father's killer so he can exact his own revenge. And along the way he will improve his martial arts skills to make him a better fighter, to be able to face off against this superior enemy. So, if you're familiar with Shenmue, then the story will be familiar to you as well. Now, this is an odd game in many ways. It is, for true fans of the first two games, you will feel immediately comfortable here, because they have done very little to change the game design, the game dynamics, whatever you want to call it. It feels the same. They've just updated it graphically, really. The dialogue is the same. It's dated. It's the same voice actors, but it's that same stilted performance if you've played the other games, from what you may remember. And if you haven't played the other games, the voice acting here will strike you as to how bad it is. It's like they're literally reading off cue cards. It's really bad, but you will understand this voice acting and dialogue if you've played the other games. It's a double-edged sword, really. I think they've made this design decision on purpose, but I don't necessarily think it works personally, the dialogue. I mean, it's really slow. You have to press a button to say the next line and keep moving it forward, and that's a recurring theme with this game. It's very slow. If you have to open drawers, you have to press a button to open a drawer, then press a button to close the drawer, move down to the next door, press another button to open that drawer, press another button to close that drawer. And you'll find yourself doing that consistently throughout this game, because you have to look for certain things in rooms, and you will literally bow your head and sigh when you see how many drawers and things there are to look in, and it can be nightmarish because it's just so slow. Everything is so slow and deliberate in this game. I like chilled out games, and this you can easily describe as a chilled out game, but it's it's too chilled out. It's chilled out where it doesn't need to be. Some of the decisions that they've made here, they've done to respect the original two games, but gaming has moved on an awful lot, and I think they could have paid respect to the other two games, but also shown that they have moved on with the times with some of the gaming designs here. You've got all your usual things. You can buy collectibles from shops, little miniatures. You can do mini games in arcades. You can play all the street games. You can chop wood to make money. You can make money in other ways by collecting herbs and getting sets of things together from the shops, and you'll earn lots of money for them. So all them side activities are all there, and to be honest, most of them are pretty nicely done, as you would expect. But for a martial arts story here, I think the fighting here is substandard. It's just not up to scratch. And you'll know if you ever play this game. The martial arts that we've got on display is very clunky, and very unresponsive. And most of the time, you end up reverting to button bashing quite a lot when you're playing this game, and it'll get the job done. So that to me says, if you can button bash and win a fight against some of the best fighters in the game, it basically says that they've not designed the fighting particularly well. It's just not very responsive, and it's very clunky. It's serviceable, but for a martial arts game you expect better, which is a shame. And the story just drags. I mean, you will find yourself going... I mean, there's two sections essentially to this game. You've got like the village setting, which takes a big chunk of the game. Then the second half of the game you move to a city to continue your investigation. But it's similar stuff, just a different setting really. And you'll find yourself going out in the morning to complete a task, and that could be find this person, do this thing. You'll do it, and then you've got a few options. You can do some martial arts training, you can chop some wood, or do one of your daily jobs, etc, etc. And then you go back to your house at the end of the day and save and sleep, wake up. But it's the same thing over and over. Now, especially in the first part of the game when you're in the village, the stuff that you need to do to progress the story forward, you're trying to find basically these bullies, this gang that have been terrorising the village, but nobody seems to be in any rush to give up any information to get them stopped, and you don't seem to be in that much of a rush to find them, because it will take you days to find evidence of a clue that will lead you to these gang members, but it seems like they're just up that hill there. So, someone will have known they're there. It's a small village. It just seems they stretch it out when they didn't need to, really. You find yourself, it takes days in game time to do anything in this game, and it could have taken hours. So they stretch it out. It's like there's not much story to tell, but what story there is to tell, they've really, really stretched out. However, saying all that, because it does sound like I'm crapping on the game a little bit here, there is an undeniable charm to play this game. I think visually it looks really, really nice. It's respectful to the other games, but in this department, visually, it has shown respect to the original games, but it has moved forward in regards to its visual design. But the rest of the game mechanics, it hasn't. It feels like it's 15-20 years old still. They haven't moved any of that forward, really. And I think anybody who hasn't got a real love for the first two games, or anybody who is used to modern games, will really find this game hard to stomach. Its design choices will baffle some people. It really, really will. And it's just, it's a real shame, because I think this game could have really been a real breakthrough. It is. I think it's quite an original game. It's quite slow paced, quite original. You can do things, generally speaking, at your own pace in it. You can do a little bit of investigating, a little bit of martial arts, a bit of collecting here and there. So it allows you kind of to play at your own pace. but it doesn't allow you to pick up the pace if you want to. You know what I mean? It'll take you days upon days in game time to do anything of relevance, and you feel like you're kind of getting nowhere quite a lot. However, it's a fun game for the most part. It has got an undeniable charm to it, but it's a real odd game. To summarise, really, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. I think I'm being a little bit generous there. I was very seriously considering a 6 out of 10, but it's there. It's definitely worth picking up in a sale if you're interested in it. But be warned, its game design will kind of shock you if you were not used to it, especially if you've not played the first 2 games. So that is my review for Shenmue 3. I hope you liked it. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to click the like button. And of course, if you are new to the channel, it would very much appreciate if you would click the subscribe button as well. Thank you very much for watching, everybody.